In complete contrast to the Mauer Breaker, which is the free season rank 100 reward, this vehicle right here, played on Cold War, is actually super fun, and it makes even playing Cold War really, really good. I really enjoyed playing this tank, and we're going to cover what this tank is, how you can get it. Of course, it is the season pass, so you have to get to rank 100. Now, luckily, I'm enough that Wargaming have actually given me the opportunity to play this as a rental. Now, Wargaming do that. Unfortunately, no one else other than a content creator can be able to do it, but hopefully this will give a little guide for when you do manage to reach rank 100, which usually, if you play semi-regularly, takes about 4 weeks of the weekly challenges to complete and play a decent amount of World of Tanks. And of course, usually everyone will be able to complete the season pass, whether you're a casual player or, of course, a more kind of grindy player who's capable of, doing every single one of the season challenges super quickly. So obviously, we've been playing in the Object 292. We have two really, really good gameplays in this tank, or at least good for me on Cold War. So, I mean, they do a lot of damage. It's 10k plus in both of the replays, funnily enough, on the same map, which is always good. But either way, what is this tank all about? What does it do? And of course, is the comparison between this and Wargaming's most recent detente era premium, the Object 477A, is there much of a correlation between the two? And in fact, the first thing I am going to say about the Object 292 as opposed to the 477A is that I much prefer playing the 292. Now, is it as overpowered? Is it as strong as the Object 477A? Well, I don't know, but it definitely is very, very powerful. And if you are a fan of medium tanks, whether you play World War II or you're a fan of just that fast-paced action with a really reliable gun, then the Object 292 is for you. If you're after more of a bit of a derpy gun with the ability to use a smaller caliber gun that is the machine gun that the Malot has, or the Malo, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, maybe you pick the 477A. But of course you have to purchase the 477A, and I think considering that this is the free version, if you purchase the Battle Pass, it's 2,000 gold. But this one is really, really good. And the main features between the two, or main distinguishments, don't even know if that's a word, but the main difference between the two tanks is that the Object 292 feels rapid in the game. Now, this has a power to weight of 29. The Object 477A has a power to weight of 24.56, but what is great about the 292 is the terrain resistances are much lower, which means that it's able to maintain the speed much, much better than the 477A. As you can see, soft terrain 1.66 as opposed to the 2.07 on the Malo. So that means that although, as you can see right now, both use the speed boost equipment to enhance their speed, you'll notice that the 292 will be able to maintain its speed much faster than even the top speed of the 477A. So you'll be able to keep up to that 77 kilometers an hour much easier with this tank as you would with the 477A, and it feels a little bit sluggish playing this thing. The other difference is that this tank has super good accuracy, 0.25. We are using vertical stabilizer, whereas you don't get the option to use vertical stabilizer on the Malo. So that is one good advantage of playing the 292. And that means that the accuracy on the Malo is 0.33 and the 292 is 0.25, so you've got a much better accuracy with this tank, which is why it doesn't get the overpowered armor that you're used to seeing when it comes to the 477A, as I'm sure you've been hating it if you played Cold War anytime. I mean, yeah, it's always good to have a few weak points, being that vision port that's impossible to hit when it's turning, and a load of spaced armor everywhere, and the lower plate basically unpennable unless you hit that thin strip. And then of course if you go for the side armor, you want to aim for the rear of the tracks, where you'll be able to miss that frontal plate that covers the front of the tracks as well. So that's the Malo. But the 292 has of course got some other advantages, and you'll see that the 477A has horrendous damage per minute when you compare the two. Now I am using a commander in the 292, so we are able to get a top damage per minute of 6,072. So that's really nice, and it allows you to have these super high damage games with this tank as opposed to the Malo where you have 4,279. But if we swap over the commander to make it a fair comparison, then if we recheck back the statistics, you got 5,000. So you get an extra 20% more damage per minute with the 292, which is actually a big advantage when you consider that the reload of the 292 is about 7 seconds. And when you're using your fuel boosts and stuff like that, it can go even lower, down to, 7.5 seconds, etc., as opposed to the 8 seconds when you aren't using it. And the 477A 10 seconds. So not only are you more accurate, but you're also able to deal that damage more consistently because of the fact that you have that increased reload. And of course, the good thing about this tank is it also gets a healthy kind of amount of gun depression. It's not the best, 4.5 degrees. It seems like it's awful, but when you play it in the game, it doesn't actually limit you that much. And often you're able to use the speed to maneuver about to be able to get the gun depression. Whereas this tank, when you're trying to find that 6 degrees of gun depression and use it, you're a lot slower to turn, as I say, with the terrain resistances. So that it's just better overall as a tank in terms of its gun handling, and it's much better at being able to maneuver around the map, which makes this a very strong contender for being overpowered. I don't mean overpowered generally, I just mean that this tank is very good. In the right hands, it can be superb, and I think some of the better players, and of course players that are new to Cold War, will really enjoy this hybrid playstyle. It almost takes some of the features from World War II in terms of how mediums play and chucks it into Cold War with, of course, a solid gun, which makes me really happy that they introduced this as a Season Pass tank as opposed to the 477A, and I don't think introducing this as the Season Pass tank would be very fun for the matchmaker and everyone playing Cold War Era 3 at the moment, just purely based on that armor model, which is just horrible. But the 292 has just fantastic overall. Of course, it doesn't get as much of a silver bonus, I don't believe. Oh no, it does, 65%. So it's really good at earning silver as well. And if we just drop to a couple of my games, this is a bit of a spoiler, but 693,000 silver earned within the last game that we played. It was a good game, but still 700,000 silver just using ×2 silver boosts, and none of the season pass boost that you can get, none of the additional silver bonuses that you get from operations and stuff like that. It is simply, that is how much we earn with a ×2 silver boost. So it's really good for grinding out credits, and I highly recommend it. It is going to be my go-to vehicle when I'm wanting to grind out credits. So hopefully that's given a little overview of this tank and the sorts of things you can do with it. Of course, having ridiculous penetration, 900 and 760 alpha, shares the same gun with a Malo. So yeah, really good to use. Let's jump into that gameplay now, of course, on the same map, both of them, but you'll see an aggressive one and of course a bit more of a defensive one in those games. But let's jump in there now. Now then, the first game is on the brand new map, as well will the second game, and we're going to use the typical medium position. I was very pleasantly surprised when I jumped into this and realised how good and how fast this really was. I was hoping it would be like this, more like that medium playstyle like we've explained already, but we get into position early in the game on Ruinberg. I was surprised with that they'd removed all of the cover in this area, making it probably not particularly very good when people start to learn how this map will play, and it will focus on more of this corner building fighting than you will be able to actually come here and do a whole lot, and of course focus on trying to push this area. So it's a little less kind of fun, I guess, to play when people start learning how the map plays. So this position probably won't end up being all too great, at least at the beginning of the game, and you're more likely to find it working towards the end of the game and of course the middle of the game. So I'd highly recommend just avoiding it to begin with after a couple of weeks of this map being in rotation, as people start to learn that you can get hit if you're crossing into the middle. So just be careful of that. Now, you're seeing here, we're going after some of these tanks. You can trade with a lot of them. Most tanks at this tier have about 600 alpha, maybe 500, and of course lower than that, some of them. You just have to be careful with the rocket launchers because, you know, yeah, ATGMs are just so much fun for everyone involved, but that's the case for every tank. But what we have with this tank is that high penetration allows you to pen things like M1A2 turrets, allows you to pen Challenger turrets. Now we are aiming badly here, but trust me, you can pen them because of the fact you get that such a high penetration. And when you factor that with the reload speed, people are like just genuinely surprised with how much health they lose so quickly. And I mean, within just a few, like probably 30 seconds of engagement, we picked up 3,000 damage. I'm talking about engagement time as in during the game. It's obviously been longer than 30 seconds. And there we go. Haha, Mr. M3A2 just only tracking me with this little ATGM. Always fun to see the ATGMs not working. But what we do here is now push away. It looks like our team are kind of faulting. I don't want to get hit from the middle because, you know, it is a counter to that position. And I think that that's where people will start realizing about. So just, yeah, don't do anything stupid. What you see me doing here is just trying to side scrape or reverse side scrape out. Now, not the best idea in a paper tank, and you probably want to go at a steeper angle if you were going to attempt to do this, but we go for it anyway. So put one into him, very nice, picking up 5,500 damage, 970 assistance as well. And at this point, we've really got to push this flank. I go for the M3. Unfortunately, we hit the angled side armor, which must have space to be able to bounce that, I would expect. So maybe a little bit unlucky, I don't know, but it was probably poor aim, to be honest with you. Should have tried to go for that frontal shot if we could have done, but yeah, at this point it's just time to go in, try and find the last remaining tanks that are on this flank and maybe pull out some more damage. The Challenger here, we try and go for the lower plate, but I don't really want to take another one from him because I really want to be able to trade effectively. He's fired, so we can pull around, and there we go, one straight into the lower plate of the Challenger, no problems whatsoever. The enemy Challenger also decides he's just going to YOLO. He looked like he had a mark, so maybe they're just easy on Cold War to get, but he decides to just YOLO in. Not quite entirely sure what the thought process was here, but sometimes you just got to take what you can take. And so we go after him, of course trying to chase him down and get that last bit of damage. Pick up that last bit. Up to 8,300 now. We have got someone behind us, which is fine. This tank can get set on fire. I did get set on fire twice in a row, which was, yeah, not so fun. And then we end up actually bouncing off of the side of the Challenger 2, which is, yeah, just brilliant. It's one of those space rounds, which is just not ideal. Or spaced armor on the Challenger 2. The side skirts, which can just be troll in general. Now, I was testing out really here if we could pen the upper plate. Looks like you can't. I'm not surprised, but you know, sometimes you have to test things, and of course if it worked then we'd know for next time, but of course being the first time we play the tank, I have no idea, and of course I'm not that used to playing Cold War in general. Now we push up here. I want to, you know, preserve those 900 hit points that I've got left, so we're just trading with the enemy team, see if we can get some extra damage. Up to 10,500 damage done there. 970 assists, so you know, well in excess of 11k combined. And now it's time to just go in. I was thinking, you know what, if we can get some extra damage, if we can push as much, I'm happy to be taken out if it comes to that. Now the teammate starts pushing me in the back, absolutely fine, doesn't matter, we still take the damage from him, and there we go. And now it's just, can we get one more to push that 12k damage mark? Yes, we can. I ram him, not the best idea, but I just wanted extra damage if we possibly could, and maybe we'd even track him for some assistance, but didn't manage to do that. 12,500 damage done with, yeah, nearly 1,000 assists as well. So a very, very good game in this tank on the new, well, new map, but brought back map. And yeah, not a bad game at all. 1,500 base experience. I don't really know how well that compares. I'm assuming it's similar. So a really good game in this tank would be like 14, 15k damage maybe. I don't know. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you would expect like a super high-end game to be in this one, where you pick up the mastery badge. But yeah, let me know. Let's jump into the next one though. Now, the next one, you're probably thinking, wait a minute. Are you showing the same replay twice? Come on, Eclipse, come on. What are you doing, man? Of course, this is actually the same game. It is the same spawn in the same tank. But we're going to see a different style of gameplay, and the reason why you don't want to cross where the enemy team are crossing right now, and you certainly don't want to stop where the enemy team are crossing, because this is a brilliant farming position, because you can stay safe from the left hand side because you've got the building, and you've also got some bushes to cover you a little bit, so you don't get instant spotted. But yeah, I mean, if you do get spotted and all of the tanks in the center, and there's a few of them, do decide to actually turn and try and deal damage to you, can end up a little bit bad. But luckily our team have actually pushed over this side. They've started taking it. I'm going for blind fires through the smoke because you never know. Apparently smoke doesn't work when you're zoomed in, but you can actually see whereabouts they roughly are when you go into third person, which I'm not sure if it's a feature or a bug, but I guess, you know, you should just free aim everything when you see smoke, so you could see where the markers are of everything at the moment in time. You can see here it's just a case of farming damage, and you're seeing just how good the accuracy is compared to the 477A, which is something brilliant. And of course we get hit on the move by the enemy tank there. Yeah, thank you, really nice play there. But you know, Cold War console things. Go for another shot. I got a little bit lucky that he stopped right as we fired, which allowed us to actually hit him. So thank you very much to the enemy team there. And oh, look, looks like he didn't learn his lesson, and we hit him again just probably 2 minutes later. And you can see within 2 minutes of the game starting, we've done 6,000, make that 7,400 damage. You can see where I'm going with the damage potential of this vehicle and how amazing it can be when you really find those opponents out and you really start chunking away their hit points. Now, at this point, I want to win the game. It is not a guarantee. I mean, it looks like it's a guarantee, but you never really know in World of Tanks. So I decide to go over here, just trying to find out where the enemy team are. So we push here once we know that there's not many over here. We put one into the side of the tanks who are fighting on the corner towards the rest of our team. And then of course the Magash decides he's going to flash out and find ourselves. I apologise for the pun there. But yeah, I mean, good night. And that's really what this tank can do. It can just shut down tanks so easily. And oh, here we go. This is the Malo. Now I'm going for the turret ring. Can we hit it? No, because it's got that little ridge. I knew I was probably not going to be able to hit it very easily. I was trying to go for the inner plate. He gets taken out from the back, I believe. And there we go. 9,000 damage done. It's time to push though. We found a back end of an M1A2. Spicy. I mean, even the front end is basically just an automatic pen, and at this point it's fine for me to go in. I've lost my... I'm not gonna... I might get taken out, but I want more damage, so we're gonna do exactly that, focusing the low health targets. So we managed to hit the Magash there in the center. Can we get one into the T-72BU before he gets taken out? No, but there's one last tank left alive, the Thumper. Can we get there before the rest of the team decide to YOLO into him? And we're going for him. This guy's trying to push into me. Brilliant. Thank you. And then we're going for this Thumper there. Can we get round the back of him to get one more shot? We could have stopped there to shoot through the building, which I thought about, but I wanted to make sure we can guarantee some damage. We get one into him, and then he is gone. But still, 12,400 damage with 492 assists. Almost a duplicate of the first game in terms of the damage, but of course you saw the pushing power that this tank has with that good speed, good accuracy, and yeah, very, very good gun on this thing. So hopefully it was kind of a whistle-stop tour of the tank, the statistics, the equipment you should be using, including, you know, vertical stabilizers and using advanced loader, etc, etc. And I'll be interested to see what you guys think of this tank. I am very happy that this is the Season Rank 100 reward for the Season Pass. So let me know what your thoughts are, and hopefully I wish you all the best in getting this as quickly as possible so you can farm up those credits like we managed to do there. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one tomorrow, where we look at some more of these Season Pass tanks and hopefully review all of them so you guys will understand what's coming and what you should be looking out for in that season pass. And of course, don't forget to check out the live stream that's on Friday, and yeah, let me know what you think of that. But I'll see you there, and hopefully you have a fantastic rest of the day whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.